Interreg makes a difference for the maritime industry. An example from the South Baltic coastal area.
We, as a Lithuanian cluster, now is doing the prototype that will help distribute the LNG in a small scale from Klaipėdos port. So we have a local shipyard and two local engineering companies developing the prototype of the container that will be used for this particular matter. And of course, they are very much looking in how they can expand this activity and provide those containers on the global basis. So we bring on the global actors. In this particular case is Emerson, American company, automation company, huge, 140,000 people employed. And they are now building up an automation concept for this particular container.
It's obvious Andrius has a global perspective despite working in his own region. It was therefore not a surprise to find him networking in the world's biggest fair for shipping in Oslo.
Interreg area, you know, it's supposed to be the limit for the partnership, but not for the limit for the activities. I mean, we live in the global world and we need to think local but act global. You know, in order to facilitate the LNG infrastructure development, we need to follow the world LNG industry growth and be ahead of them. So, I mean, we need to have a very high baseline and we cannot have this sitting in our regions. We need to go outside. I mean, you know, it's the place where every Interreg project in terms of topic needs to be. This is where we build our network, this is where we gain our knowledge, and this is where we test our business models.
When listening to Andrius, networking with global businesses comes naturally to him. But it's not always the case that project owners dare to go out from their region to ensure growth. However, according to Andrius, this is a must in order not only to keep up with global developments, but also to be in the front line that then leads to flourishing businesses and jobs. Being a partner and player with global companies could perhaps mean that Interreg would no longer be a relevant platform. But this is not the case, quite the opposite.
Interreg is something that establishes you a platform where you can start up. If you want to be successful and you have your ideas to be implemented, you can start with Interreg, because Interreg is something that brings the different expertises, the different actors together to help you out to enable your activities. In our case, it's LNG. We are very much focused on the business models.
The business model will not be successful if there is not a common understanding and common rules across the border. Andrius and his team therefore involved the decision-makers in the Interreg project.
We always brought with us the policymakers. You know, but as I said, we've been building the trust in between industry and policymakers to establish the legislation, because LNG legislation were not in place. Ports didn't have any LNG handling rules, which we had in Stockholm and Denmark. So they were able to learn how this actually operated, how do you set up the rules and legislations, how do you define the safety zones, how do you promote towards the society.